In this training, I'm going to be discussing how to develop a successful ad campaign, and this comes from the experience of over $40 million in sales, both from behind the scenes in the ad account and on the front line actually handling the leads and turning them into sales. So there are 4 steps to this process, but before we get into those 4 steps, I'm going to just cover some common misunderstandings when it comes to ads, as many people look at social ads like infomercials, just like you would see on TV. The difference being, when you're watching TV and there's ads in between your favorite show, people are locked into sitting there and watching them, waiting for obviously their show to return. Now, most of the time, people will get up and do other things because they don't want to watch the ads. And more commonly now, we have streaming services where people can pay to have ads removed. So that just goes to show how much people disdain ads and try to avoid them. If we try to replicate that same approach in socials, sure, we may make some short-term progress and get some sales, but it's not going to scale. So we need to understand why people are on the platform, and that's to be educated, entertained, and inspired, which is under my head what it says. So more often than not, the best performing ads actually derive from organic content. So if you've got a message that's winning over here organically and it's driving leads, opportunities, sales, odds are if we put money behind it and amplify it to a wider audience, it's going to do pretty well. So the best performing ad creatives generally stem from organic pieces. Now you find the topic, the message that resonates organically. Maybe you add a little bit of sales finesse to that to turn it into a bit more of a direct response, or to turn it into an ad that directs to an outcome. But the core of the message is the same, and it hits on those points of education, entertainment, or inspiration in the ad itself, where people are either learning something, they're being entertained by what's going on, or inspired by maybe testimonials or transformations that take place in the ad. So ads simply act as an amplifier to the business. Like pouring gasoline on a fire, if you have a fire brewing and you've got good organic growth, you've got a proven sales system, you've got customers coming through, you know you've got a message that resonates, then pouring ads onto that already established fire will explode the campaign. But if you're starting from embers, or worse yet, no fire at all, pouring gasoline on the floor just simply isn't going to do anything. It's obviously going to waste a lot of time and potentially a lot of budget. If you have some embers going, you may be able to get some traction, but it will take time, testing, and budget. So I wanted to get those misconceptions out of the way, because people look at ads as a golden ticket to riches, to great revenue, great returns by just pressing a few buttons and turning it on, and all of a sudden leads and money just start pouring out of the sky. That can be the case, but more often than not, you'll need to have proven messaging and proven systems in place before pouring ads on if you want to see the maximum out of your campaigns. So where do we start when developing an ad campaign? The first place is ideation, coming up with the actual ideas and concepts of the campaign. Now, I broke down a 6-step process around market research in another video, and 3 of those steps take place in the ideation phase. So that's in-market research, ICP research, and crafting the offer. Now, for more in-depth, go to the other video, but just to summarize these, in-market research is doing research in the market, as it suggests. Looking through social media platforms, looking through say YouTube, forums, groups, online reviews, your own brand reviews, what people are liking, disliking, what sort of terminology are they using, how are they identifying themselves. All of these topics we want to understand in market. All of these answers we want to gather in market and see what's actually happening in real time. ICP research is speaking to maybe current customers, speaking to of your ICP that you may have a relationship with, maybe conducting polls, research, just getting a general feel of how the buying journey takes place for your ICP, and then using that to help craft an offer. All of this information will help inform how we initially go to market and what we take to market as our initial messaging and offer. Just a small sample of some of the information you want to collect: trending topics, hook angles, what consumers like about yours or competing brands, what consumers don't like about yours or competing brands, who is the most attentive persona, as in who is, say, most progressed down their buying journey, what sort of characteristics do they demonstrate, what level of awareness are they at, what potential opportunities are there to present a unique angle of an existing solution, what does that typical buying journey look like, how does that ICP identify themselves, and then age, gender, location, as well as any other information that you can gather to help inform this process. Once we've collected all that insight, we can move into step 2, which is the production. So we need to start building the assets of the campaign, starting with the hooks. So the easiest place to start is going to your previous winners, organically or paid, if you have that information. So if you've been producing content or you've ran campaigns before, what hooks performed best for you? Then list down all the hooks that you also found through your research in market, and write out a list of 20 to 30 hooks that could possibly be used for this campaign. And then narrow that down to the 3 or 4 that stand out the most, and ask yourself the question, do they call out the ideal audience? Do they provoke curiosity? Is there some sort of implied benefit in the hook? And what stage of awareness is this hook tapping into? Are we addressing a problem unaware audience straight out the gate? Are we addressing a problem aware, solution aware, product aware, or purchase aware? Once we've narrowed down our hooks and they answer those questions for us, now we determine the creative format that we need to use for these creatives. Is it going to be a video or static? And then apply the style and select 3 or 4 styles to work with. So that could be UGC, Us vs Them, founder stories, negative highlights, news releases, organic style, post-it notes, testimonials, and the list goes on in regards to how many different styles you could go with. But from your research, you should have been able to find some of the more trending styles and approaches that you can adopt for this campaign. Then identify the tone of voice and point of view that you'll be taking and start writing the first drafts of the copy. Another video I'll go through copy frameworks, but if creating videos, the copy can be multi-purposed as scripts with slight adjustments. Obviously, if there's some messaging that can be better demonstrated through a video, continue revising and rewriting that copy until everyone that's involved in this creation process is happy with where it's at. And then read it out loud to each other, make sure it flows as a conversation, trim off any fat, so anything that's not necessary to say, get it out of there, and then we can start to consolidate it, and then we can start to create the visuals to match. We ideally want 3 creatives, 2 body copies, and 2 headlines from this process. So the hooks that you've identified should all go after the same pain angle, which you would have identified as being the most likely to convert based on your research or based on past data. If you have no data, you might want to start with an initial batch test with multiple different pain angles being tested with just 1 hook on each, and then just see which one kind of stands out the most in terms of gets the most engagement, gets the most click-throughs, etc. But once you have your dominant pain angle that you want to go with and test, you'll have your 3 hook variations, and that will lead the 3 different copy pieces, will lead the 3 different creative pieces, as the initial variation will be the 3 different hooks on the front. The rest should all be relatively similar, tapping into those same pain angles. And then the body copy and headlines, obviously just slight variations of each other and different angles of that same core pain point. And once we have those 3 pieces of creative, 2 pieces of body copy, and 2 headlines, we then move into getting the campaign live. So we get the campaign into market, start distributing and managing the account. In another video, I'll walk through an in-depth process on getting this live, and then obviously what you're looking for inside the account, but just not in this one, as this is more the bird's eye view part of the process. So I've just created a couple of visuals. One is based on the DCT structure, which has been the primary I've used over the last couple of years, but DCTs are starting to get phased out by Facebook now, and flexible ads are being introduced. So over the next 6 to 12 months or so, expect to see dynamic creative options leave your accounts and be replaced with flexible ads. This has already happened in some accounts. But if you still have dynamic creatives and you don't have the flexible ads access yet, you're generally managing the account primarily at the ad set level. So you'll have your different creative formats that you've chosen. Could be one with news release, could be one with Us vs Them, could be one with UGC, and then you'll have the hook angles, the 3 creatives, the 2 copy, and the 2 headlines, all blended into the 1 ad. So the thing with dynamic creatives, if you haven't used them before, is you can only have 1 ad per ad set, where you put all the creative elements into that 1 ad. So all 3 creatives, all 2 body copies and the 2 headlines, all go into the 1 ad, and then Facebook does the adjustments for you. And what we're looking to find is the best performing format, the best performing creative and copy combination, and the best performing angles. So pretty much all of our management happens at the ad set level, and I only use broad audiences. You can test interests and lookalikes if you fancy, but I've generally found it best to focus on improving the message if I'm not getting the result, just leaving the rest up to Facebook's machine learning process. Now, if you do have access to flexible ads, the only thing that changes is now we're able to do the same thing that we were with dynamic creatives at the ad level. So we can have multiple ads in an ad set that do the same thing that dynamic creatives could do for us, meaning we can combine 3 different creatives, 2 different body copies, 2 different headlines inside one ad and have multiple ad set. So then we start to break out the ad sets by awareness stages that we're targeting with that particular ad set, and we do the testing and management back at the ad level again. Now, to touch on with the campaign, we just, as it says at the top, we have one objective, offer, or country per campaign. We don't start to blend in multiple offers, multiple countries, multiple objectives into the one campaign. We separate them out. But with flexible ads, now at the ad set level, we break the ad sets up by awareness stages that we're looking to target, then again go for broad audiences, so age, gender, location, and we use the 3-2-2 method, which I picked up from Charlie Titchener, one of the top Facebook advertisers in the world, and we apply that to the flexible ads underneath the ad sets. So now say we're going after a problem-aware audience with one ad set, we can do all of our problem-aware testing inside that particular ad set, looking for ads that win. Then we have a solution-aware ad set and a problem-unaware ad set. And this could be your layer 1 campaign. If you followed the last video around the overall structure, this could be the structure of your layer 1 campaign. And then we're just looking to optimize the ads inside each of these awareness stage levels so that we can get the most scale and tap into the widest possible audiences so that we can get the most scale out of the campaign. Now, the campaign structure itself is not actually that important. This is what a lot of people obsess over. Now, obviously having it in a reasonably good structure that makes sense to you, that you can follow and don't do anything ridiculously wrong, it's not going to make a dramatic difference to your ad campaign performance. It's how you interpret that data and step 4 that make the most difference. So there are 2 types of data that we can gather: qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative is the numbers, qualitative is tangible insights. This is the data a lot of marketers ignore. They just want to play in the numbers, stay in the numbers because the numbers are easy to read and the numbers are safe. But the quantitative information gives us a clearer picture of what's actually happening in the campaign. So if we break it up quantitatively, inside the account itself, there's a few leading metrics that we want to look at: cost per result, CPM, and frequency. Obviously, cost per result, how much are we paying to generate a result based on what the ideal result of the campaign is. CPMs, how much are we paying per 1,000 impressions. The frequency, how frequent are people seeing our ads? Are we restricted to a tight audience, or are we actually starting to show up in wider and wider audiences? And then obviously how much we're spending as a total. Has the that you've put into the account earned the spend against other creatives that are already there? Secondary metrics in the account that I don't really look at that much anymore, but you can look at the CTR all just to get a feel if your creative is stopping people in the feed, and then the link clicks, the CTR link clicks, how many people are actually clicking through on the ad. Now, the only time I will look at those is if I'm struggling to gain a clear picture from the top 4. Then I'll go to these 2 just to help try and complete that picture. But then we also want to look at the sales data as well. So we want to know our overall blended ROI. We want to know our hero pipeline production. So how many high intent revenue opportunities are we producing? Meaning people that are raising their hands saying, hey, I want to speak to you guys about what you do. What's our lead to opportunity rate, our lead to win rate, our overall conversion rate, and what's our CAC payback period. So between these numbers from in the account and these numbers on the sales side, that forms half the picture for us. Then we want to start looking at the qualitative insights as well. So we want to understand our average client value. Are we attracting high value clients? What's our client retention like? Is there any possible mismatch in messaging throughout the process, which is leading to client churn? We can listen through call recordings, get general market feedback as well by speaking to people, customer insights of those who came through, what prompted them to purchase, what were they looking for when they came across us in the first place. Sales feedback loops as well. Sales know a lot of what's going on because they're on the front lines. And then just overall team satisfaction and retention as well. Are we creating an enjoyable process for our team? Because if we are, there's a good chance we're creating a good buying experience for our buyers as well. So between the 2 quantitative and qualitative insights, you now have more of a clear picture as to what is happening inside your revenue engine. Now, nothing is 100% black or white binary when it comes to revenue creation, marketing, sales, but this gives you way clearer of a picture than simply just looking at the numbers, because behind those numbers presents people. Now, going into the final step, this is where marketing strategists really earn their money, and that's in the reporting and refinement. Being able to actually report this data is one thing, but turning that into a story and creating actionable insights is a way more advanced skill set. So you need to be able to collect all those data points that we mentioned before and be able to report them in a way that makes sense to people that aren't marketers or sellers, but also tells them what we need to do next. What is working, what is not working, based on those insights. Be able to tell the story of how the campaign is performing so that you know what you need to do next. If the campaign is underperforming and not doing well, we go back to step one and maybe we go deeper on the research and find different pain angles and different hooks that we need to start working with, that we need to test and go back to the drawing board with. If the campaign did yield results, then we can still go back to step one and do additional research, but we may just do subtle tweaks to the campaign, such as changing the persona in the creatives, changing the environment, changing the flow of the copy, trying short form or long form. We just start to make small adjustments to the campaign, possibly even starting to look at the landing page conversion as well and seeing if there's any opportunities to improve that, and start to fine tune the campaign as a whole, because it's already doing what we need it to do. Now we're just trying to optimize it and create more output for the same inputs. So if you want some more in-depth training on this, we have some resources and additional trainings I'll link below. You can get some templates as well that can help you out with doing some of these processes. But hopefully this has been valuable and it can help you go out there and build better buying experiences.